Chapter 21. Crazy is as crazy does. Virginia hearing, Friday, January 28th, 2011. We had been doing the drives to Bowie, Maryland every other weekend, Friday and again on Sunday, for 4 months, since the temporary Virginia order was put in place. I was always worn out after the drives, but it had to be done. Occasionally, a friend or my mom would accompany us, but it was mostly my father. The drive down 95 South felt part of my destiny because it was the same drive to Arlington, Virginia, where my father had lived most of my childhood, where he was stationed at the Pentagon. Thursday morning, January 27th, I was outside shoveling. It had snowed over a foot, but it was not preventing me from heading to Virginia for our next court hearing. I wanted the hearing because I wanted the Virginia judge to give up jurisdiction. It was time to hand over the reins to Pennsylvania. We'd already had Pennsylvania jurisdiction for child support, for Thaddeus, and for the divorce. We just needed the Pennsylvania child custody order to include Thorbjorn too. Once we did, that would mean we would have most of the legal power, and it would also mean no more GAL. Schwan Mason would go bye bye. Traveling down to Virginia for court was a family effort. Both my parents came. My father would attend court with me, while my mom took care of the boys. When we arrived at the courthouse to meet Robin, my Virginia attorney, he took us into a private room to discuss strategy.
Are you ready to testify, Destiny?
I shrugged. I assume so.
This is going to be a long hearing. I just want to prepare you the best I can. Let's go over the main points.
I felt like a warrior preparing for battle. As we walked into the courtroom, Robin and I sat down at the table to my right. My head started to spin. I could feel the battle energy in the courtroom. It was an awful feeling knowing someone else, the judge, had power over the fate of my child. I barely looked at Tinman. I knew Scarecrow was there too, but it paid her no mind. I wanted to give them as little of my energies as possible. My father sat behind me.
This hearing today is case number JJ0707570304 in the Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court for the County of Chesterfield between Tinman versus Destiny J. Ringgold. Ordered, adjudged, and decree, this court has jurisdiction pursuant to the Uniform Child Custody Jurisdiction and Enforcement Act over Thorbjorn, a minor child. Defendant's argument concerning Virginia being an inconvenient forum and Pennsylvania being the appropriate forum to hear all matters before the court regarding the parties is hereby under review. Today's hearing is to revisit and revise as needed. Thus far, the plaintiff has had visitation every other weekend from Friday at 12 noon until Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. Both parties have shared transportation equally and have agreed to pick up, drop off locations that have split the drive time in half. The plaintiff is counseled by Mr. Craig, and the defendant is counseled by Mr. Robin. The minor child is represented by guardian ad litem, Ms. Shawan. Today's hearing is to finalize the current order and make changes as needed. Mr. Gregg, would you like to begin?
Yes, Your Honor. My client would like full custody of the minor child Thorbjorn. He feels the drives every other weekend are not efficient for quality time with his son. Thus, he would like to be awarded full custody of Thorbjorn.
My head started to spin, and my stomach followed suit. I closed my eyes, trying to calm my nerves. There was a trash bin under the table, and I reached for it and put it near me. There was a possibility I would vomit, so I better keep it close. My attorney eyed me with suspicion and patted my knee for comfort.
Mr. Robin, what is your client's position on this matter?
Your Honor, my client intends to continue to raise both children under the same roof. There is absolutely no reason to separate them. In fact, Thorbjorn is thriving in Pennsylvania. He has been attending their Head Start program and he has been receiving services for speech and occupational therapy with positive results. Thorbjorn, often referred to as Bjorn, just so you know, Your Honor, has recently been potty trained. His vocabulary has increased tremendously, and he has a specialist working with his food challenges. She has been introducing new textures, and this has positively led to him consuming a wider range of foods. To move him from his current stable environment and away from the ongoing support services he has been receiving would be detrimental. I understand the distance between the two houses is inconvenient, but meeting every other weekend in Bowie, Maryland has been making the best out of a difficult situation. Bjorn has had the opportunity to spend 2 nights in Richmond every other weekend. In addition, both parties had a hearing in Pennsylvania recently concerning their second child, Thaddeus, who is currently 8 months old. The master of the case ruled in relation to the current temporary Virginia order. He has awarded the plaintiff 2 hours of supervised visitation in front of the mother during drop off and pickup of their oldest son, Bjorn. As such, the current order is working. My client does not request a change in the temporary order, but in fact does request that jurisdiction eventually get moved to Pennsylvania. Thank you.
Yes, yes, Mr. Morgan, we know the defendant wants jurisdiction to move to Pennsylvania. But before that happens, I would like to guarantee that both parties are correctly co-parenting. When one party moves out of the state, oftentimes the parent who remains falls victim to not receiving regular visitations with his children. I am here to make sure that does not happen.
Yes, Your Honor.
We will be hearing directly from the parties today, along with the testimony from Ms. Shawan. Mr. Gregg, is your client ready to testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
Tinman walked up, gave his pledge, and sat down.
Tinman, what is your assessment of the current situation?
Well, for one thing, I never gave permission to Destiny to leave the state.
I rolled my eyes.
Yes, I understand. It can be very difficult to see your children when a partner abandons you like that.
Talk about calling the kettle black, I thought.
In your own words, please tell the courts what you would like to happen and why.
Yes, our son needs me. I'm his father. A boy needs to be with his father.
Tinman said simply.
And you believe you're in the best position to provide Thorbjorn with a stable environment.
Oh, most assuredly. I have a nice house with a nice fenced in backyard in a nice neighborhood. Bjorn has lived there. He has his own room and he has friends down the street.
Oh, my word. He's talking about Narcissus' children. I sighed.
Richmond is known for having a good school system. I will get him equivalent services to what he has been receiving in Pennsylvania.
And what would be the main reason for moving him from his mother's home?
While his mother is not the best influence for him, she is unstable. She has moved Bjorn multiple times in the past year. Also, she does not believe in traditional medicine. She uses natural remedies instead of medicine whenever Bjorn is sick, and refuses to vaccinate our son despite my objections to her doing so. And her morals are questionable. For months, I have wondered if our second child was even mine.
He stated as if making a point. I burst out laughing. What? He's the one who cheats and he's trying to spin it on me? Talk about projecting.
So you believe, as the father of Thorbjorn, you could provide a loving, stable, and moral environment here in Richmond.
Absolutely, I could.
Tinman emphasized.
Thank you.
Mr. Craig sat down.
Mr. Robin, do you have any questions for the plaintiff?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Tinman, are you attending law school full time?
Yes, I am.
Tinman said, sitting up straighter in his seat.
As a full time student, how do you intend to also parent full time?
I have family help. My dad and stepmom both live in Virginia and have offered to help me with Bjorn if I get full custody of him.
He said, his chin angled upward.
I see. Isn't it my understanding that your father and stepmother live in Newport News? Isn't that an hour and a half away from your home in Penrose?
Yes, it is.
And you're relying on their help? Hmm. Rather, isn't it true you plan to rely on your mistress to babysit your child while you are in class?
No.
He answered quickly.
I see. Has your mistress met Bjorn?
Yes, she has.
And your mistress moved in the night my client moved out?
No, she still has her own apartment.
He said.
I see. My mistake. Here you are accusing my client of questionable moral ethics when it was in fact you who had the affair. You tried accusing my client of cheating to the point you asked her to take a paternity test when in fact you knew full well Thaddeus was yours?
I did not know for sure.
Tinman stated.
I see. And when exactly did you introduce your mistress to your child?
Tinman hesitated and looked to his attorney for reassurance. Mr. Craig nodded for Tinman to continue.
I introduced Scarecrow to Bjorn right away. I felt he needed a positive female in his life.
He said, as if he was making a good point.
And you stated that my client did not have permission to move out of this state. Is that correct?
Yes, she had no right leaving Virginia.
But in fact, she had secured an apartment not far from you and had moved into that apartment with the understanding that she would still have access to the house to teach music lessons. Is that correct?
Yes.
The day after my client moved out, did you inform her that the locks had been changed and she was no longer welcome to teach at the house?
That wasn't my doing. That was my parents. They owned the house.
He said, as if that explained everything.
But wasn't teaching music lessons my client's only form of income? And since you weren't paying her any child support and you remained in the house, you essentially took away her ability to support herself and the children.
Well,
So the truth is, Mr. Tinman, my client had to go home to Pennsylvania for family support. You'd left her without a way for her to support herself and your children.
Destiny essentially kidnapped our son.
Tinman demanded.
Oh, I see. Well, if I'm mistaken, please tell the courts how you helped my client during this precarious time. Did you help secure a home for her? Did you help her move? Were you providing financial support for her? You absolutely did not. You see, it is very obvious to the courts, Tin Man. Your actions led to her leaving. No further questions.
As Tinman stepped down, Miss Shawan took the stand.
I was hired by the courts to represent the party's minor child, Thorbjorn. In speaking with both parties, it is evident to me that the parties have not yet learned how to co parent. It is my recommendation to the Virginia courts to continue to hold on to jurisdiction of Thorbjorn. There is no guarantee that the defendant will continue to abide by the current visitation schedule without severe oversight.
I sighed. It really wasn't a big deal, though. She was just advocating a continuation of the current temporary order, which I was willing to follow anyway, because eventually it had to prove to the Virginia judge that I was, in fact, willing to co parent.
Thank you. We will take a 20-minute break and convene with the plaintiff's testimony.
We were already 2 hours into a scheduled 3 hour hearing. I needed to move, to take a walk, to get a drink of water, whatever. I just needed to get out of the courtroom.
Destiny, do whatever you need to do and meet me back in the meeting room in 10 minutes.
Okay, will do. Thanks, Robin. As I walked in, Robin and Dad looked up. What? I said, alarmed by the look on their faces.
Destiny, come sit down. I need to ask you something.
Okay.
Mr. Craig handed this to me.
Robin said, lifting up a pile of papers.
There are emails from Tinman's account to his boss, to his Pennsylvania attorney, and to Miss Shawan.
Okay, I said, not understanding the importance.
I would like you to look through these.
He said, placing them in front of me. I nodded and started reading. My eyes widened at what I read. Tinman was cursing at his boss and talking dirty to the GAL. Ew. Did they have a sexual relationship?
Destiny, Mr. Craig believes you wrote these emails.
Robin stated. What? I laughed.
Yes, he believes you hacked into Tinman's email account and sent these very inappropriate emails in order to sabotage him.
I stared at Robin. How how would I began, and looked down at the emails. This email to the GAL uses the N-word. Does that even sound like me? And it is sexually graphic. Sounds like Schwan and him were having a relationship, doesn't it?
So are you telling me you didn't write these emails?
Robin asked sincerely. Robin, I did not write these emails. How would I even get into his account? I don't even know where he works, nevertheless, who his boss is. But I looked at the email address to the one person whose name I didn't recognize. He states to his boss, I effing hate you and my job. My eyes went wide, and I shook my head. I always suspected he had multiple personalities. I called them his adult self and his wounded child self. These emails sound crazy, like he has a third personality.
They were sent in the middle of the night.
Robin pointed out. Yikes. Does he want to get fired? Actually, you know what? His personalities probably don't even talk to each other. His adult side may not even know he wrote these emails. That would be my guess.
Oh boy. Without a psychologist to diagnose him, I wouldn't feel comfortable addressing that. I'll tell you what, I'll let Craig have at it. He's going to try to pin it on you, but likely it will just backfire.
Okay, I said. Tin Man is even more nutso than I thought.
Apparently so. You ready to go?
Robin said, standing up. I am. Let's rock and roll. When court resumed, I was immediately called to the stand.
Destiny, how are you doing today?
Robin asked me. Fine, I said awkwardly and smiled at him.
We are here today to finalize the order concerning your child Thorbjorn.
I nodded.
The judge wants to guarantee that you are willing to co parent with the plaintiff. You understand that, correct?
Of course, I answered.
Since the temporary order was established, you and the plaintiff have been meeting halfway between your houses in Bowie, Maryland every other weekend. How would you say the drives have been, Destiny?
Well, they've been stressful with a baby and a 4-year-old, but I've been lucky to always have a family member with me during the drives.
How much does it cost you to complete the drives each month, including gas and tolls?
I have calculated $250 a month.
I see. And how much is the plaintiff paying you in child support?
Robin asked. He's paying me $55 a month, I stated.
So you have been paying essentially $195 a month to make sure the plaintiff sees his children?
Yes, I stated. I also had to purchase a car, which my parents co signed for me since I'm still rebuilding my teaching practice.
Yes, and you have noticed the plaintiff has been driving a different car lately.
Correct. He has been using his girlfriend's car, I said.
Oh, how very nice.
Robin said,
One more question, Destiny. How old was Thaddeus when the plaintiff went to Pennsylvania to meet him?
3 months old, I said.
My, he took his time meeting his child. No further questions.
Robin sat down and Mr. Craig stood up.
Destiny, is it true that you told my client that he would not have to pay any child support if he would just go away?
Yes, that's correct, I said, glancing at Robin.
You don't have much respect for my client, do you?
Very little, sir.
In fact, you loathe my client so much that you would be willing to sabotage his relationship with his boss,
I didn't answer.
and you would be willing to hack into his email account and write hateful messages to his boss, to Miss Shawan, and to his Pennsylvania attorney in order to make him look bad?
No, I shook my head. I have no access to his email.
Are you often up in the middle of the night?
I am. Thaddeus doesn't fully sleep through the night yet.
So is it possible that you sent these emails during that time?
No, I have absolutely no access to his email, I repeated.
Okay, we'll just let these emails speak for themselves.
He said, handing the pile of papers to the judge. Good, I thought. Let the judge see Tinman's crazy side. As I stepped down, Robin looked at me and asked,
Are you okay?
I'm in pain. It's been like over 5 hours that I've been away from Thaddeus. I need to nurse him. I'm about to burst. Robin glanced down and said,
Okay. After the judge's ruling, let's get you out of here.
Monday, January 31st, 2011, I emailed my Pennsylvania attorney. Dawn, court went well on Friday. It was a 3-hour hearing that turned into 5.5 hours. The judge kept the same ruling that we're required to travel down every other weekend, which I'm happy to do. When Tinman testified, the judge got to hear a lot of crazy. Crazy is as crazy does. The judge is very bothered by his mistress, especially in having been introduced so early to Bjorn. The judge recognizes me as a great mother and Tin Man as a crappy dad, but she's concerned that I don't properly co parent. One thing I didn't think about prior to testifying was how much I would come across to the judge that I hate Tinman's guts. And this fact highly worries the judge. So she has scheduled another hearing for August 31st to follow up. She did state to some effect that she would like to give up jurisdiction in the future and that it's still under advisement. At least that's how I took it. Tinman has emailed me wanting to get our divorce finalized. His girlfriend and him are going to run off to Vegas as soon as they are officially divorced. It's very romantic. Tinman has reported to me that he has sent all the retirement information to you a month ago. Is he telling the truth? You never know when it's coming from him. So, anyhow, the combination of court last Friday and the hearing in PA with Master Lombardi has me feeling really great about everything. My boys are here with me. They are safe and they are thriving. Thank you for everything.